Hey, welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk. I am your host, Jeff Hootselle with AuditMax. Hey guys, we're always talking to unique people in the world of technology from all across the country in this show. We've got fantastic guests, and today we've got a really special guest coming to us from Detroit, Michigan. We've got Steve Thompson from U.S. Medical Management. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate reaching out.
Yeah, Detroit, buddy. You're up in hockey country up there. We're starting to get into winter time, getting the seasons rolling. You excited? Are you a Red Wings fan?
Yeah, I am actually a Capitals fan. Grew up in the D.C. area.
Very good, very good. Now, I know you're obviously a hockey fan. You also play a little bit of hockey recreationally as well. Is that right?
I do. I've been playing every Sunday night for since I moved to Michigan. So you're looking at, almost 20 years now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a good time of year to be able to get out and exercise a little bit and get on the ice. I know you're doing a little fundraiser right now for the
so
involved in hockey. What is that all about?
There's a charity here in Detroit that supports the needy in the Jewish community, and so we're having our second annual. It's called Matan Beseter Hockey Showdown, and last year raised over $50,000 for the organization. So I'm really looking forward to that on January 9th.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Good luck for that. And I'd have people go check out your LinkedIn. There's ways they can sponsor you as well if they feel so inclined. So, well, Steve, that's great. So obviously you got some hockey and sports passion in your background, but I know technology is a big thing for you as well. Maybe from the start, talk about U.S. Medical Management and your company and kind of your mission.
So U.S. Medical Management is a management company for healthcare entities that manage the continuum of care for the homebound population. So looking at those people, 3 to 5% of the sickest of the population, and doing primary care in the home health, hospice, and really increasing quality of life using high quality of care for those who are really need it.
Yeah, and it's obviously been a tough year for everybody. I know you mentioned, kind of joke, 2020 has been the toughest 3 years of your life last time we talked. But what's it been like for you guys? I mean, obviously you go from in-person care, you've got kind of a really vulnerable part of the population you guys are taking care of. What's everything with the pandemic and COVID been like for your organization?
So it's been tough, but we, especially in IT, handled it fairly well. Two big things. One is the switch from people working in the office to working from home. Fortunately, we were using the virtual desktop environment where it was very easy to switch people from the office to their home environment. And then, with our providers not being able to go in person, we really had to pick up on the telehealth piece. We hadn't really kicked it off much in the past, but in March we went with the FaceTime, Zoom, Google Duo combo to get as many as we could. But there were some technical challenges in that, so we did some demos and picked a new vendor for us to do telehealth. So we have one platform. Really an omni-channel platform, whether you're on, it's got an app, it's got a website, you can really do it any way you want, which made it a lot easier, more seamless for the patients.
Yeah. And I know it's tough. I mean, we talk with a lot of their IT leaders like yourself, and they're going through this whole process of kind of this shift. And I know you've been on the forefront, you've made a lot of changes in your platforms and in technology and gone more cloud focused over the last couple of years to kind of position yourself for this. You mentioned the virtual desktop side of things. As you kind of look at it from the person that's leading IT in the organization, and you start thinking about the mentality of just change management, introducing new technology, and really kind of understanding the business needs, what's been your approach like for that as a leader in the company? How do you approach new projects and looking at the business needs from an IT leadership perspective?
So we've had a shift. In the past, it was really more IT driven, the project side of things. And we really shifted it to focus more on the business needs. Where are the gaps from their side, and how can we support them to kind of close those gaps and really build out better workflows, give them better products, better performance, and better experience to drive better business results.
Yeah, and when you look at kind of the process of introducing new systems into the company and getting people to embrace that change and really adopt it, any tips or strategies you give that's been successful for you, or things you've learned and challenges you guys have had to overcome when it comes to introducing that new technology?
Really, the biggest thing we found is the business community being involved from square one, right? So they're involved in requirements gathering. They're involved with doing the demos with the vendors. We find the vendors, but we make sure that the business is the one representing their needs, their requirements, their opportunities to these vendors, so that the vendors can give an accurate quote for us and kind of understand where we're headed. There's no one that understands better what the business needs than the business. It really has to come from the business side, and then once you have your business champions who are selling it to the rest of their business, it becomes a much easier sell to get that adopted.
Yeah. I'm interested. You're obviously leading IT within your company today. You've got a great background and kind of track record. You've been in a lot of different places here and seen a lot of things. As you look kind of forward into 2021 and you start to think about the role of a VP of IT or a CIO, what that looks like going forward versus what maybe it was 5-10 years ago. What are the biggest changes you see there in kind of your roles and responsibilities to the organization?
I think it's similar to what I said earlier. It's really that shift from providing technology to providing solutions. Right? It's what the business needs, not what IT needs anymore. Oftentimes in the past, it was really about IT driving solutions, and it's really shifted to an enabler, right, for the business to grow. It's really about how do you take your company, how do you take your business units and meet their needs to get them where they need to be.
Yeah, so how about the industry just in general? I mean, healthcare is going through a big shift right now. I mean, there's just a lot of things that you guys have to address. I mean, we've talked about the telemedicine piece and cloud services and working remote. You're also seeing a lot of folks in that industry now that are being targeted, by bad actors and by folks from a security standpoint. They've really become a target, for a lot of the bad guys out there when it comes to trying to breach that information and ransomware and things like that. What's your take on that and kind of the state of security inside the industry and that need in your organization?
So obviously defense in depth, a lot of training. Your user base is generally speaking where your vulnerabilities are, and so it's really giving them the training, giving them the education of how to protect themselves and protect the company from the malware and from the phishing attacks. So we've done some of those testing. We've done penetration testing, and really looking at the tools and the processes. You can put the best technology in place, the best security tools in place, but if they're not managed well and your user base isn't as up to speed as you need them to be to protect the company, you're still going to have vulnerabilities regardless of how good the technology is.
Yeah. No, I think it's definitely true. I mean, people talk about that a lot of just, again, you can have the best walls to the castle and everything going on, but if the people come in and leave the back door open, right, that's your weak spot. People are picking up USBs in the parking lot or, and plugging them into PCs and things like that. So is it that education piece that you guys are trying to preach and focus on? Is just, hey, it's great. We'll build systems, we'll build, failbacks, but how do we keep everyone in the company kind of educated on what's out there and what the risks are? Is that something you guys have kind of taken that approach?
Yeah, it's really combined. Right? You have to have the tools and you have to have the education. It's a collaboration between the security side and the employee side. And how do you meld those two to make sure that you're as protected as you can possibly be?
No, that's great. Well, so I want to switch gears a little bit. We got time for just a couple questions left. But one, I'm curious, as you look out at the industry and kind of look over the next year or two, curious, what do you think, what technologies, what different services do you think will have the biggest impact on your industry and your business when looking forward?
Data science, analytics, AI, really looking at how do we continue to bend the cost of care, right? That curve where Medicare spend is so great. How do we look at the data we have? We have all these systems with a lot of great data, but how do we make information out of it? How do we look at the data we have and say, this person is likely to go to the hospital? And how do we look at early interventions to prevent that? We know that the hospital is the most expensive place for care. How do we implement tests? How do we implement workflows and use that data to better predict where that increased cost of care is going to hit and reduce that? So that's probably the biggest thing coming.
That's great. So, Steve, last question I have for you. We have a lot of people who watch the show that are kind of young and coming up in their careers in IT. If you could kind of go back and talk to your 22-year-old self, just getting started, what advice would you give to somebody that's really getting started in their career in IT as far as where to focus and how to really advance and grow their careers?
Don't tell them to run. Really, it's learn as much as you can. Right, everything's always changing. Focus on that studying piece. Get your certifications, get your experience. Find a mentor. Get on LinkedIn. Read articles. Just stay knowledgeable about everything going on. Read the industry magazines, whatever industry you're in, whether it's healthcare, whether it's hospitality, whatever it is. Just make yourself as knowledgeable as possible about the industry and the technology, and start networking with people. Go to conferences. Just get that information. Get as much information as you can.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Just the idea of just staying curious and being hungry is great advice for anybody, no matter if it's technology or I think any field you could be in. So Steve, if people want to contact you and learn more about U.S. Medical, or they want to just get in touch with you, where's the best place for them to go?
Hit me up on LinkedIn. I have a fairly common name, so it's kind of tough. But if you search for me, U.S. Medical Management, I'm the only one here. So that's it. I'm pretty active on there. And Jeff, really, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, but I'm glad you can come on. I want to see some video and highlights from the hockey game coming up here. See what your slap shot's like. But
oh God, they called delay a game on that one.
Well, Steve, hey, thanks so much for coming on, buddy. We love having the show. Thanks for all your insights and everything, and it was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Hey, and thank you guys for tuning in to another Tech Talk. If you guys want to see more episodes like this conversation with Steve, you can go to automax.com, check out our whole library of interviews. You can also find us wherever you find your favorite podcast. Until next time, take care.